Okay, finally. Hello. I'll be with you shortly. A little bit more time, we'll get this thing going. Gonna look at. Yeah. We're about ready. Yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of them there. Hello, Brad. We're going to talk stocks. We're going to go over a watch list. Welcome to I Love Stocks. Well, thought it would be appropriate if we kind of went over a watch list, kind of like a little lesson that we had a couple weeks ago about watch lists. And the sector that's really been hot has been that car sector. So I kind of wanted to go over some of them, I think, for the first half hour. Just kind of do a little rundown. So if you got a pen and paper, please keep it handy. I'll put a link to this watch list down in the comment section. It's on TOS, and you can copy that down. So let me see here. I want to check something out. Yeah, we'll talk about the EMAs and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and I got my little EV car watch list right here. We've noticed that they've been real hot, as everybody can agree. Correct? So there's probably some of them here that you've probably already got on your list that we're going to go through, that I'm going to go through, and then I'll be more than glad to go through them and rechart them after I get done with the watch list here. But remember, and you can go back to previous videos and watch that, how to prepare a watch list to become a better trader, trade like the pros, or at least give a little idea of how to use a good watch list. So we got NIO on top here. I'm going to pull up the 200. Oh man, give me a second here. Okay, there's the 200. Turn that down. So here's Jamia. Let me pull up the watch list. I got it linked to it. Go straight to NIO. We'll kind of look at the yearly chart. I'm going to go ahead and erase all this right here. Well, do more than that. We'll erase it all. Start fresh. So NIO's had a real nice run, and we're kind of consolidating a little bit. The volume's been real good on it. We had a real nice pullback on it Friday for an opportunity to jump in the trade. To me, that might be a little sign that we might be going sideways and looking for some kind of China sideways pattern, then another breakout on NIO. So let's go ahead and look at it real fast here. Let's go ahead and chart this up on the daily. We'll just kind of pull this back right here, put a little resistance level there. Another one right about in here. We'll try to hit the tops of them candles and try to find some resistance levels. It's definitely on my volume list for the top. I like that. Bring up the 20-day. Then we got a low support down in this area right down in here. I'll go ahead and put that on there. We've got another one right here. We're going to put it right there. Extend it to the right or to the left. So that's kind of the channel that we're looking at. Same as right in here. We're going to look for the bottom of that support right there and hang that to the left. Okay, so we got kind of a little support channel right in here. I think it no lower. I like to keep it right in that area right there at 43.67 for a pullback. No lower than that. Why I like that right there on this 20-day. It's kind of like the little pivot point area right in here, this little channel. It's like the pivot point on the 20-day. So if you can keep that as support and maybe hold up to this 200 EMA right here, that'd be a good solid little channel to keep it in. So that lower support at 43.67 on the 20-day, how we peaked right in here. We kind of held support there, and we held support right in here. Same as right in here, we peaked. And you kind of see that history of it right doing the same thing right in here. So that would be like a real strong buy if NIO did pull back to that 43.67. And then you've got this little channel in here, which would be your first, second, and third support areas. Keeping that 45.25 above that in that channel as a strong support. And of course, if she does pick up momentum, because she has she had higher lows, that's a positive that we still are bullish on this trade. And so the resistance level we've got to break is going to be right in here. Now I got to turn this on because this is bothering me right now. I want to keep it on. That's the resistance that we got to break at 53.88. So that's NIO. Low strong buy if it does pull back to that 43.67, and then try to break the next two resistance levels of 51.45 and 53.88. Now everybody knows I'm bullish in the auto EV sector right now. And the next one we're going to look at right here is going to be solo. Now we want to be in the now, right? When we're in the trade, we want to kind of keep an eye on being in the now. So Solo's the next one we're going to talk about here. Check it out. Solo came out with some news. Let me hide this little thing right here. That Centron was trying to, bash him again, saying, oh my gosh, this stock's, way not worth this. So I got into the put and played the pullback. Now I think it can pull back a little bit more and then retrace back up. And there's a little channel right in here. You see that channel? See that channel right in there? And that little pivot point area in the middle of that channel is at 964. So if I see this thing pull back to around 964 come Monday, and we're going to remember we have a short trading week, so there are going to be a lot less traders trading, but it's going to be kind of unusual, so who knows? People are staying at home. The volume still might be more than what they anticipated. But we have a little channel right in here. And if I think we can pull back to that channel, that first support's going to be right there at 964. And that's what I'd like to see hold on Solo. But I do have a strong buy down here at 818. And that's the bottom of the breakout when we had this big engulfing candle right here. And then you got the 695 where that ascending triangle was. So those are your three strong support levels. Maybe a scalp play from this 964 to break back up above 10. And then a strong buy. You see that right where that candle pulled back and we had that big old breakout. So that could be your second support at 920. And then 872 with a real strong buy at 818 to retrace back up and find these resistance levels to 10. And that's kind of how I see Solo. Next one, we're going to look at AYRO. I'm looking at the volume leaders that we had. This one here had a huge breakout. It broke out of the double top at 816, and then we'll end up closing pretty much near that 809 area. Now I got to get a better picture of this. This 670 seems we got a little spot right in here. I might flag that for a support level, and we'll go to the 20-day, 1 hour. We're looking for supports, pivot points, and resistance levels on this watch list that I've created. And see, I got one little spot right here at 509. So this has had a real nice breakout. As you can tell, it built up momentum and then spring broke. The RSI is kind of above overbought area. We did have a nice little pop. Now I like to look at one little chart that I have here. It's called the Fibonacci setup. And I want to look at the 20-day and see about where that 50% retracement is. And I notice it's right there at my pivot point, right here, that red line at 633. So I'm going to use that as a very low support level on AYRO. This is a penny stock. It's worth about 809 right now. I think the resistance level to break is going to be right here where we tried too many times right here. See that little flag we created, and then it just broke down. See, it found a little support level. So we got a little resistance level here at 902. That's how you want to try to find a resistance level to break. You don't want to go off the wicks, but you notice every body of them candles right there. See, I got so good at it, I did it perfect. See every body of them candles? And we're getting a little bullish here, but it finally just gave up. Still holding support here at the 9 EMA. See that? Still holding support. So that's the resistance you got to break, is above them candles right there. That kind of makes it hard. And then if you can break that, if you can break that 902, then you can start looking at the wicks and looking for them as resistance levels, because this could be an all-time high here. And I'll identify that on the 1-year chart. Yeah, see, at 987. So I'm just going to go a couple cents less than it. Let's go back to that 20-day. So that Fibonacci right here, that's going to be where you'd like to take the trade. This is a penny stock, and it is volatile. And another thing I want to check out is when I'm in these stocks, so I like to go to FinViz And I like to type in AYRO and look at the float. And this is a 22 million float, and I can see that right here. So that kind of excites me a little bit. It's a strong float. It's not real weak. I mean, some of them low floats are being pumped. So let's keep this low support here at 633. I want to be in the now. That's why I'm watching my EV cars right now. 670 and then 731 with a resistance to break at 902 and 984 with a double top. Let's go ahead and look at a couple more on this here. I got, this one here is one that I should have really been talking about more often. This has had a beautiful little run. XPEV. It's also in my car sector right there. You see it's had a nice little pop, pulled back to support. Same thing right here, fell back to support level. We broke out of resistance right here last week at that 50.87. Now we've got a new high to break here at 55.79. 97. And then we'll go ahead and put another one right down here for support level. And then we got a little resistance to break right in here. I'm looking at these candles in here. See? I'm looking at the bodies. Not anything else but the bodies of the candles. See how this body right here connected to this body? And it depends on different time frames. Okay? I like to mention time frames. Get accustomed to the time frame that you like to use. If you have a familiar time frame that suit your way of trading. If you're a swing trader, you might want to more or less look at the dailies, get accustomed to the daily candlestick patterns, and use that kind of time frame. I use the yearly daily, and you can write these down, and a 20-day 1 hour, and also a daily 1 minute. And I like using the daily 1 minute because I like to jump into the trades before other traders jump into the trade, because I know what kind of momentum plate is it, and I'm looking for that kind of reversal candlestick pattern that I'm always looking for. That's why I'm saying I'm in the trade, and then people before it pops up on the scanner, and I'm usually looking at chart patterns and candlestick patterns to be able to do that, because I'm already excited about the money flow. And by the way, Miss Vegas in the room is one of the best money flow traders that I know, with volume, so that's something to always keep in mind when she's talking about money flow. Keep a good eye and a good ear open to that. So let me go back to what I was talking about. So we're talking about XPEV. We got to break this 55.97. And I'm thinking maybe a lower support down here in this channel right in here where we had the breakout. And that's going to be probably right in here. I'm going to go ahead and type 49 for a strong buy for a reversal play on this stock right here. Let me bring this a little bit bigger and I'll get that number exactly to you. 49.61. That's going to be the number you want to maybe take the trade and retrace it back up. And rerun and bring it to a resistance level of 52.69. That's got to hold. So that's going to be your first strong support. Why is that? I'll show you here. It's because where we pulled back right here, that could be like a double bottom. That 52.69. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for places of reversal and places of consolidation to find support levels. And I'm looking for places that match up respectively along with those pullbacks. And I'm doing it off the bodies of the candle. So that last paragraph that I mentioned, you might want to rewind it and listen to it again. I'm looking for places I'm looking at the body of the candles, and I'm looking for places of consolidation and places of repeated history. And then I'm looking for channels that go sideways. It's called consolidation. And if it repeats itself like down in here, see, this would be my third and final straw. This happened about 5 days ago. This would be a little resistance level right in here. And I want to mark that down. I'm not, and my Fibonacci's, my trend lines are different than anybody else's that you probably ever traded with, because I've done the same pattern of trading for over a 15-year period, and I've got accustomed and rewarded for the pullbacks that I see when I do call these red line resistance and supports out. So it kind of builds up your confidence, I think is what I'm trying to say. You know, I wouldn't jump in here and start making trades off the way you're trying to find these supports. Let history repeat itself and build your confidence level up to take the trades themselves. Because once you start seeing it happen, the confidence does build up and it's easier to take the trade. So we've got 3 support levels here on XPEV, and that's going to be, and this is off the watch list of 52.69, 49.61, and then 46.75. Those are the ones you want to keep. Remember, places of consolidation. I mean, this thing can pull back to this previous high right here, but I want to use this channel first for support level, because I do believe that we will break the double, and then we have another scenario. If it does hold this double bottom here at 52.69, it could retrace back up to the 56 level and try to break a double top. So there's different kind of scenarios, 3 different kind of trades that you could make in this trade. You could be patient, set an alert for 46.75, and maybe see if that scenario works out. Or you can take the first support off 52.69 and maybe take that trade for a double top break. And those are just 2 of them. And then you play it on the way down and scalp it in between. Now, a lot of people kind of tease me because they think I only scalp, and that's not the case. I take a trade, and then if a sucker's going to pull back and I'm positive about the trade, I'm going to take it back up and I'm going to scalp it back to resistance level. Still being in the trade, if it's a 3-day swing or a 5-day swing. You know, I don't swing trades very long. I swing through different time periods of 3-day, a 5-day, or a 7-day, and then I call it quits. But I only jump in momentum trades that are rewarded. The risk factor is a lot less. But during the whole thing, they jump up and down, you know. Say I got into the trade here at 41.99, expecting for it to break out. I'll go ahead and I'm in it long. I know in 5 days that it's going to run up here to resistance level, but during that period of time, I'm watching the trade, and I only trade like 3 trades at a time at the most. I won't carry a prospectus longer than 3 trades. I'll keep 3 trades only, because I have a brain capacity of only handling 3. Some can handle 20. You know, some can flip them and just keep rolling them over, and that's best to them. And I've learned off traders like that. So I'm trading this trade, and it pulls back on me, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit, pulls back to my support level where I got in at. Why not just scalp it again? You know, add some more and take it on up, and maybe take some of it off the table once it breaks my resistance that I had previous. So there's my scalp, and I'm still in long from down here, running it all the way up to my 5-day pattern. And then when 5 days hit, I'm out of the trade. And that's a lot of ways the way I do it. I take it 3, 5 to 7 days. And then I expect a sell-off. But that is that. So let's get into some stocks. Let's see what else I got. I'm going to see if I can find a couple more. And then we'll go over, FUV. We've had a nice and plug. You know, you want to keep being in the now. We want to watch our watch list. We want to have blink, plug on here. And then see if we had any really hard sell-offs. Now, this TANH says it took a 52. Let's see what happened here with this stock. Okay. Now, look at this. This could be a trade. This is what I talked about using the watch list, using it in other ways. So I went to percentage losers. And it still has a lot of volume. And I want to know why it lost so much. So I'm going to go down here and look at the news. 10 million security purchase deal with unnamed investor. Somebody invested some money in it, signs 10 million security. So I just want to kind of check in here. Here's something down here about an offering. Shares are trading lower after the company priced a $606 million offering, stock offering at $1.65 a share. So keep that $1.65 in mind. Announces pricing, so they've announced it and they've took it. So do we want to jump in before the offering closes? Would that be a good idea? Is this a sector that is bullish? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's look at the yearly chart on this thing. So there's a couple of reasons why I would take this trade right now. I don't like the offering news, but I do like this run. Okay? Now look where we've pulled back to on the yearly. I'm going to go ahead. These here trend lines go back to 2018, and I'd use them again, but I want to clear up the chart. So we got to the watch list, and we found one that it took a pretty big plunge. There's two of them on her. Candy. I'm bullish on Candy. Okay, so this could be another good opportunity for us to be trading come Monday. But I want to read the news. I want to be in the now. And any trader should know that. We know, being in the now, we know that the car sectors are hot, the EV car watch list. So let's check this out. Anybody done any homework? Ride's another good one. Snap, we'll look at Snap. But let's do this last one here and see if we can find a trade on it. Look at that. I mean, it's lost. I mean, look at that. Anybody see anything in here? This is beautiful. This is an opportunity. Let's try to find a support level, okay? You see this right in here? Let's go ahead and put a little trend line there. That's going to, and look at where it pulled back to. Look at that. See? See that right in there? These are all places of resistance. Triple top, couldn't break, and then finally, bam, it did finally break the castle. Moved on up. It's had a pretty good little climb up. This is overdone. This stock will bounce back real fast. So I'm going to look at it as a bigger spread for resistance levels. And I seen this one right in here, this candle right in here. And I kind of want to run it down the path. And right in here is where I'm really liking it. I'm really liking it right in here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a trend line right there. We hit that right there. The candle wick hits that. These three bodies hit that. So I'm pretty comfortable for resistance to break at 142. Why? Because that resistance level right there. We couldn't break it before, and it pulled back. See that? It pulled right back to that support level at 119. Now I'm going to try to find an equilibrium in this channel that we had right in here and see how it matches up throughout the rest of the chart. And I'm going to put it right in here where the two bodies came back. Now I'm looking at charts differently. You got to have the mentality to be patient and to do your homework and sit here and go through this process, or you just go ahead and go into a trade blindly or trade it on momentum. There's different ways of trading. This is just my way of trading, and I just like to show my way of the extended trend line method. And if you can benefit on this at any benefit, that's just wonderful. So we got a resistance level here next. Is going to be this pullback where we had right in here. And I'm going to go ahead and chalk that in too. So that's going to be like, and then we want to we remember that number, 165. You see where the 200-day is right here? And this is the SMA chart. And you see where we had the golden cross right here, and it ran all the way up. So I'm thinking we're definitely going to get back up into this area. And it's going to be kind of a hard resistance level, as you can see all the way down through here, where we tried to break a few times. We did break it, and then we pulled back. that creates like a, I'm going to call that a yearly pivot point. That's where the yearly pivot point is going to be on the chart, because we broke out of it and we pulled back and hit it. So that's going to be like a real hard resistance level. We're going to turn that red because that's a yearly pivot point. Anything above that is resistance level. Anything below it is support. So we're going to try to climb up to resistance and break that pivot point on the yearly. And then the next resistance is going to be the bases of these candles right here, where we failed many times and pulled back to that pivot point. So that's going to be like a resistance level right in here. And we're going to magnify this up so we can get a better look at it. And I'm going to put that right in here. You see how we tried the body of that candle? See that? And then how these wicks hit it right there, and then you got them two that climbed on top over it. So this TAHN, we're looking for a play on a pullback that had an offering. And we know that it's going to retrace back to that offering price at 165. Why? Because it's a momentum play. It's on my EV car watch list. And I do believe that with the run that it has had, and I mean, this sucker can run all the way back up to this resistance level if it picks up momentum to 236. Right up in here, see? Then you've got another little channel of resistance. Right now, this is where I want to look at the spread wider. Once we break that 155 area, if we can break that 155 and build support above it, we can start taking this all the way back up to resistance levels. And this would be like a long swing at this price right now. I'd buy 1,000 shares and hold it. And if it went down to 119, I'd buy 2,000 shares and go long. And take it for a swing trade back up to 170. And that's TAHN. Do you understand my philosophy on that trade? How I'm thinking? Anybody say yes? Say yes. Because and I could take that trade different ways. And I can trade it, I can trade it as a long swing. I can keep trading it as a long swing and scalp it all the way up. I can short it if it does break up and pull back, if it's an options play. So there's different ways of when you look at something like that, that's a pullback trade. And the same thing if I was going to look at candy. Now I noticed it went back 16% and the volume's pretty high. And the first thing I want to do is I want to check the news. This is one that had some real nice pops on it. Why did it pull back? Why did candy pull back? I want to know. The first thing that pops in my mind is, why did this sucker pull back? Okay. We had signs registered direct placement of 100 million of common stock. Warrants. Candy shares are trading lower after the company priced in a registered direct offering of roughly 8.8 million units at $11.30 per share. So, okay, here's the one that's been affected by news. It's the same scenario as the one before, but a little bit different. The offering is different. So, is it a good offering or is it a bad offering? You want to ask yourself. I don't think any offering in this sector right now is bad, because they do need money to compete and to try to be the top three. And you'll see this scenario when the auto industry first came out. I mean, there was not just 3 companies came out. There was a whole ton of them. I mean, the electric car was built in 1920. It was already, it's already been built. And women used to drive it. It used to be like a luxury car for the wife, because they couldn't crank up the cars. They had, they could push start it. They could just push a button and the sucker would start. So we know this has had an offering, and we know it's a good stock, and it's had a wonderful 5-day run, and it's pulled back. Pretty nice, pretty sharp. Now I want to go to my little Fibonacci chart here and look at the yearly. This is already a Fibonacci setup, so if anybody's in the room and they have TOS, they'd like to have this chart, just ask me and I'll get it to you. Now, I'm going to look for a support level. So, the first thing caught my eye on this yearly chart is this place right here. See? This place right in here caught my eye on candy. And I'm going to draw a little line there because to me that was a serious moment where it couldn't break out. It had a nice little blowhorn flag right here. The megaphone. You had the megaphone flag, and it just broke down and touched that 200 down here and bounced off that 200. And folks, I talk about that 200 a lot in the room, and you can see how you can work it on the EMA, on the yearly. Both times it'd been a nice little bounce if you had patience and wait for that 200 to pull back to here. Is it going to pull back there again? Well, I don't know, man. It might take an earthquake. But I do think it can pull back to this first support here, knowing that offering was what? $11.30 per unit? I'm using that kind of as a guideline. I wouldn't take a trade off that number, but I'm just using it as a guideline. So we're going to go ahead and try to find some more support levels on this yearly chart. And I see it right in here off the body here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Pretty solid. We had the big candle there, and then we have another one right here. Then I have another one right in here. I'm just running up the ladder. Now, candy, I know this is a solid support level, okay? So I want to definitely put that in red, because I'm thinking that sucker can pull back, and I want to set an alert at 10:59, because I will probably jump into the trade, and I want to raise that up at 59. I want to raise that up to, let's make it 10:75. I want to catch the trade before it gets there, because I'm already thinking how I want to take the trade. You know how I trade. I like to buy at support and then sell at a resistance level. And I'm looking for resistance levels that are very hard, and I want to get out of the trade before other people decide to get out of the trade by far. I want to get out of that trade while we're still in the heat, while it has momentum, while it has strength. And I want to get into the trade before everybody else thinks about it. And you can find that and know that by looking for previous highs, as we have right here. So I set that support level, and I know that's had the offering, and I know this could freak out and could sell back for another day. And that really ain't much of a sell-off. We did hit a low. If you look at the daily 1 minute, we did hit a low down here at 11:48. So I'm not asking for too much more. 75 cents. That's all I'm asking for. But I'm going to look at it just different scenarios, okay? I'm going to look at the double bottom that we had previous day. And then I got a strong buy down here at 10.75. This double bottom. And if it does pull back and has a little sell-off in the morning and stop right here at the double bottom, and you hear me talk about the reversal plays a lot, and then if we do hit a double bottom, we could have like a little fake out, like what you see here. So if you don't want to rush into the trade, you want to be a little patient. And then you got different scenarios right here. I'm going to show you two different ideas how I would take this trade if I was watching this on Friday. First, I would have probably not have took the trade, but I would have, because I'd been watching these candles and I might would have scalped it on the way up. But then if it started to pull back, I would have looked for that previous high or low to get into the trade. So now I want to do 2 or 3 things with this high or low right here, okay? I want to take the trade, if it decided to reverse right in here, and break a certain resistance level, which would be right in here. So I'd be watching it really closely, and I'd be looking for like that break. Once it pulled back the second time, and if this big old engulfing candle came in, it could have pulled back to this little support level right in here, and I would have took the trade because I had my high or low. Now also, I want you to check this out. This was also setting up an ascending triangle. We had the 2 highs right here. So if you go in here and you set this up right here, like that, to right about there, I'm going to flag this up for you. And I'm looking deep. A lot of people don't see stuff like this. And if you can, and I'm going to make that a little fatter. This is a very bullish flag. This would keep me in the trade if I got in down here to the bottom, or if this would have been a previous day of a double bottom. And I'm going to do, what I'm going to do too, is I'm going to pull back a 5-day and see why, if that had a reason to bounce off this right here. So I'm going to pull up the 5-day. Yeah, look. See that? Another ascending triangle. So that created a pretty solid support. And check that out. If you really want to follow a trade, if you really want to follow a stock, you want to look for basic patterns. If you missed the trade here, and you had a real nice run, ask yourself, where would the support level after this breakout be? And I talk about the horizontal line on the ascending triangle over and over again. And look, if you'd have set you an alert like I did down here on this one here, and I got to set another alert down here. I mean, this is real strong for your strong buy for a double bottom if this sucker does pull back to this, because you had this horizontal line on this ascending triangle. So you see what I'm saying? It failed the double top, and that's an exit spot. Talk about it all the time, especially once it failed support right in here. And you could have got, if you got in the trade, you could have got out of that double top scenario pre-market and saved your butt. And it fell on back to that previous resistance or support level at that horizontal line. So that's a beautiful explanation, if you want to really know how to read charts and how to find a knife. You see, and I talk about knife catches. You want to learn how to catch a good knife? Look for a previous chart pattern, especially on an ascending triangle, and there's other ones too. It's not always ascending. There's descending, and then you got the candlestick patterns of previous candlestick patterns of like the white soldiers and the black crows. You catch knives with them like that. But this is a good example on how to catch a knife. And that's going to be KNDI. Good that I caught that. So let's go ahead and start looking at some stocks. Oh gosh. Good afternoon. Can you? Yeah, I'll look at a couple of them. Let me get my little list here, and we're going to take a little drink of water and some coffee. Does anybody kind of get the importance of them patterns when you're catching a knife? I mean, you can call them trades out, and we did the same thing with Jamia, for example. Remember Jamia Friday? Dang, I already cleared this chart up. Shoot. Well, that wasn't right. Okay. So, Jamia, in the room, I called a little pullback on it Thursday. I said this sucker could pull back to around 22 something, 22.25. And I'm going to put that trend line right here. And I got that off this previous breakout that we had right in here. We had that ascending triangle. And that's where I've got that support level. And then Friday came and it pulled right back to that ascending triangle. See what I'm saying? We had that ascending triangle right here that had the triple top and it finally broke. So that's how I was able to call that pullback support. Although it didn't happen yet, you know, I put it in the room right here when it was up here at a high, Jamia. And then the next day it started, it pulled back and it ran and it broke that resistance level. So, you'd think, God darn, Jim was wrong. Again, you never can follow his trades because his timing is just horrible. And you can never call them support levels. And then look, that previous pattern, it pulled right back to that support level and broke. So that was just another example of what happened Friday. How you can predict if you're not in a trade and you want to take the trade, you don't want to chase it, or you can take and trade the 52-week breakouts. If you know how to trade them, you can take the trade like that. Or if you want to take the trades like, I can do them both ways. That's how I got into it down at the bottom down there at $13. I was in the trade before everybody else even thought about it. And I said it was going to run to 20. And boom. And then when it took 20, it started catching people's attention. And now we're going to go into a diagonal or a horizontal pattern and have a new breakout and break past 30. But we're very bullish on Jamia, and I think it's got a long way to go. And I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we're going to start looking at stocks. NNUP. And then I'm going to write down TLPH. I'm going to write down SNAP as NAP. Ride. Ride's a good one that we called out. Take a look at PLTR. GE. And I want to look at Tesla. And, okay. Okay, we've got about 50 minutes. Anybody need a drink of water or anything? OSTK. So I got my little session out of the way, talking about how to try to catch knives. I want to try to teach people how to catch knives better. A lot of these trades that knife on you are good trades. You can take a knife and trade them 80% of the time and take profit. You can scalp them and you can swing them. A lot of them happen on earnings. A lot of them happen on some kind of news. So you always want to check out the news and see what the news was, why the knife occurred. Knife could be good news, and knife could be just a bunch of false information put out on social media. A knife could be because of a pumper room. They all want to pump the short on a good breakout when they think a stock is overextended. People can pile in on a knife and then it gets oversold. So there's real good reasons why knife trades are real good, and to find the supports, it is the key of success. On knife, people won't touch knives because they say, why catch a fallen knife? But if you can predict 2 or 3 support levels on a knife, on a fallen knife, and usually go off a 20-day chart, and even pulled that THA in and went back a year. And I said, this has had a tremendous run. And an only knife like this on an offering, You know, I know it's going to bounce back to that offering price. I know it is. And if any and come in Monday, and we're going to look at that thing next week. And if that thing don't bounce back to 165, I'll stop trading for the rest of my life. I'd stick my arm out on that one. So let's go ahead and it's just good to, and I'm going to be watching it. If that thing goes back to 119, I'm going to load up. So let's go ahead and start looking on let's start with GE. Oh, got GM on here too. That's in the car industry. GM's going to 60 next year. So let's look at GE. G's a momentum play. We're going to pull up the yearly, take a good look at it. We broke out a resistance level. I'm going to clean this mess up. These are old trend lines that I started at the beginning of the year. We'll get rid of them. So we did break the resistance level on the yearly right here at 846. That now will become a solid support for a strong buy. So if you write down that 846 for a strong buy, and then your first little area or your second support area is going to be here right around 886. And then your strong buy, your first support area is going to be right here, right around 934. And the resistance to break is going to be the 997. You see how it touched right in here? That's going to be a hard resistance. If it does break above 10, that'll be a double top, and that'll break above 10. Bullish on GE into 2021. I think the price will eventually get back up to around 13 something, and if it can break around that $13 area, 14, around 13 something, we can maybe really start picking up momentum. This is going to be a new green stock, I think. It's going to be, you know, because the next 10 years are going to be all about green. We're going to build turbines and all kinds of crap. And it's also going to be a big boost when the airline industry starts to get strong again. So we're going to, for right now, we're going to keep resistance level at 1129, 1127. That's where where you start. I'm going to start taking. Will be the new resistance is going to be between $10 and 1127, and it's going to build a channel sideways for a while, and then maybe break out and apply itself up to the new resistance channel above 1127, calling that $12 a pivot point. So we are, if it does fall back to this 846, load up the boat. First support level is right around the 934. I want it to hold. And then I want to break past 10 and move up into a new resistance channel of $10 to 1127 with a double top resistance level to break at 1216 and $13. And that's going to be GE. We've got it off the checklist, and I'm going to put this on a watch list and watch some of these next week. The next one I got on here is PLTR. And then I'm going to do them 2 penny stocks. PLTR, another good one. EV car watch list. Got some calls coming in on this one here. They got some call alerts on this stock. December 18th, November 27th. $19 strikes. Oh, Peltor was downgraded by Morgan Stanley last week. The stock has had a surge since then. Woo! Phototype contract for the U.S. Army. Common space for the U.S. Army futures. So that's good. Buy the dip. Yep, buy the dip. So let's look at this stock real fast here. Let's clear it up. I know in the news, you see I went straight to the news. I want to know why I want to get into the trade. I want to know if it's had any good news. Or I want to know if it's been screwed around. It's got some kind of crap going on. So this is a new IPO. We've got a little resistance level right in here at 1782. There we go, 1788. Then we got some more right down here at 1655. Then we got a strong buy right here, right above 16 bucks. Then we got another one right in here I like. Right there and right there. Resistance to break at 19. So let's pull up the 20-day. See if we miss anything here on the 20-day. Nice little pullbacks. Pull back to channel. Let's call this one right down here. And then we're going to put one right in here, okay? Now let's look for something. Let's look for something in here that kind of stands out. There's something in here that stands out. I think it might be right in here. I'm seeing these highs right here. I'm seeing like a little pivot point in a channel. I'm seeing it had a little bit of resistance right in here. So let's make this a low, strong buy area. And I see another thing too, why I'm going to do that. That 200's right here, see? So in a day or two, this 200 could ride up right up to around that 16 bucks. So that's going to be a strong buy. Your first three support levels is going to be that 1788, 1730, and 1765. Each one of these being places of resistance. Comprehend? And then we found support right in here. So that could be like a double bottom. We got 1, 2, 3 with a strong buy at 16 bucks. Resistance to break 1937. PLTR bullish on it. I like the Army contract. Yeah. Yep, that's on. We got that one. Ride's next. Buy the dip. Do you like that support level on that one? Snap. You like that support level? You see what I'm talking about? How I come up with that support level for a strong buy. Then these other ones. I want you to identify those previous highs. Those previous highs always are strong. And you pull them down on the 20-day 1 hour. So the next one we're going to talk about is going to be RIDE. R-I-D-E. Called this one out, if y'all remember. Look at that. It's had a pretty nice little breakout since. RIDE. Now, what is the chart telling me? It's telling me that it's consolidated and gone to the sideways pattern here with higher lows. Could be building an ascending triangle breakout. So Monday I'll be watching this and see if it wants to break a resistance level. That resistance level is going to be that previous high we had right in here off this 1 hour candle. And I'm just going off this right here. I don't care what happened back in here, but I'd like to always look and see if it correlates anything. And then I see this support level right here. And we did touch back there once and bounce up. Touch back there and bounced up. Touch back and bounced up. Touch back and bounced up. So that's a pretty strong little channel of support and a channel of resistance to break. And then we want to bring it up to the very top up here on this 20-day. And that's going to be 28.84. It's going to be your hard resistance to break. Now, I want to do one more thing. I see we kind of had a little bit of ascending triangle right here. A little higher lows and stuff like that. So I want to go back to this previous high. right back here. And I'm going to draw one more line. And then I just can't let this go. I want to look for an equilibrium in here. This previous highs and then these pullbacks on these bodies of these candles. So let me take a bigger look at it now. Low support scenario, and this is another scenario again where you want to kind of think we're going to stay in a channel, and we want to try to keep this support channel right here at 25.42. So we want to keep that strong. It's telling me if we hold that, we pull back to this, we're keeping it pretty strong. And then we have a little sign of weakness, but it still can hold. Could be oversold if it drops down to 24.51. Still could be a nice little bounce back up. Almost a buck. And I see a real strong buy down here right around the $23 level where this other channel was. So I'm going to type that in red. And see, that's another channel of support, and I'm going to color that in. That's going to be my strong buy area. I never did get triggered down here at my 1909 when I tried to buy it right in here. So I'm going to raise this up to right about there. And I'm going to replace that and raise the bar and try to get in at 23.20. That's going to be my third scenario, my third support. Anything in that below that channel is going to be a strong buy at 22.07. So I jump in here, and it does pull back a little more. I'll probably add to it. And then take it back up to your first support level at 25.42 and use that as a resistance level. If I take the trade at 23, I might get out at 25.42 if it doesn't break. And then try to break resistance of 28.84. That's ride. Snap. Let's do snap. This and this is going to be recorded, so if you'd like to share it, hit that like button down below. Make a comment. If you want me to look at a stock later, I can, and I have time. I'll down in the comment section down below after the video is recorded. I'll try to get back with you. So Snap's the next one we're looking at. Vegas is really strong about this one. She's going to do a video later on about Snap. I don't know when, but she's talking about it. And I've got a couple support levels on this stock right now. I have a strong buy down here at 39 bucks. If it does knife to 39. Hi, Amanda. I also got a little spot right here at 41.42 for a solid buy. So that's your second support level. And then the first one I really want to hold is this area right in here. And that's right around the $43 area on Snap. Now, 43, and then we got 41.39, and then a strong buy right around $39 area for retracement back up to these resistance levels. And we do got to break 46.49 to new highs. This is a Snap could be worth over $200 billion in 5 years, one analyst says. So there's a lot of bulls on this trade right now. You could look at the November 43 calls, or maybe later on down the line, maybe right around 45, 47, it may be 50. I see it breaking resistance at 46.49 by the end of the year, having double top and pulling back. But I do like how it consolidated in this channel, and it has broke out of that resistance level a couple of times at 43 bucks. So that's a strong support right now. I'd like to see that hold and move up, or you got them other two scenarios down here. And that's Snap. Now Vegas will talk about this later too, and she'll probably have some ideas on it. TDOC and plug at PLUG. Okay, we got snap out of the way. Let's talk about NNUP if it's a ticker here. Continued growth of its ink sales, toys, entertainment drives, revenue, net income. Oh, so we got penny stock here. Revenue rose 22%. Net income declined 71,000. So it's don't bring in a lot of profit. It's got to play it like a penny stock. Let's look at the yearly chart. Okay, I got a strong support right down here at 1340. Had a little ascending triangle right here. This is NNUP. So we got a little spot right in here. Oh, I want to bring it down just a notch. Remove that. Oh, that's about right. It's had an ascending triangle. So that's going to become support level. That's going to be a strong buy. We did pull back to that once. Now that 200 SMA is right on it. So if I was to take this trade, I would set an alert down here at 1066, maybe a little bit above it. I'd set an alert right there for a strong buy and try to break resistance at 13.3. I'd buy about 10,000 shares of it. That's what I'd do. And then if it made it on up there, I'd sell it. If not, you could break a new resistance level and take it all the way up to about 16 and get out of the trade. Now, if we decide to pull back, those are your two support levels. Resistance to break. To get it on up here to right about, I like this right in here, 20 cents. That's where you want to take a lot of profit. And you could double top to around 25. So you can have a triple top breakout. So strong buy at 11.20, 13.3. First support at 16, but I think it can pull back to around 15 for a strong buy, for a first support area idea. And I'm going to put that in red. There's a penny stock. 10,000 shares down here at right around 11.20 and take it up about 4 or 5 cents and make $500 out of it to 16. Or it holds support here and run it up to 20 and make 400 out of it on 10,000 shares. That's how I'd look at it. And I'd look at the tape and the momentum and see how it's acting too. That's NNUP, and then the next one's TLPH. Doobie, you got one you want me to look at? TLPH. We've got 20 of us in here. Thanks for sticking in and watching. I do appreciate it. Hit that like button and ring that bell for future updates. TLPH ain't coming up. We'll go OSTK. Okay, here's another good one. Had a little pullback on it. I noticed it did pop up on the scanner last week. It's starting to show a little reversal pattern. We got to break a little resistance right here at 65.08. See what's in the news. Overstock.com trading higher on strength of e-commerce names and lockdown measures in the United States. COVID play. See how she ran up during the COVID? So we want to take a little different scenario look at it. We know it's not going to get back up here again. But we could have a nice little retracement to this resistance level at 85.24. Have double top. Now it's trying to break a trend right here and move it up. So resistance to break is going to be at 65.08. Support level to buy it at is going to be here at 56.02. It's going to be this area right in here. With strong buy, if it does dip on down this low at 51.63. So we want to try to find a resistance level, and it's going to be right here at this base of the body of this candle. Right there at 68 something, and then start bringing it up to about here, and then there, and then there. Okay, let's take a good look at this now. My nose is hurting me today. It feels like someone needs to break it. I used to get punched in the face a lot. 61.12. That's going to be a hard resistance to break up here. We had this here previous high right in here, and we had these lows, so that's going to be 68.68 on OSTK to break for resistance level. Now when I look into a trade, I want to look at when I want to get in, and I want to look at the potential exit point. And if it doesn't, and my gut will kick in, the instinct will kick in. So if we get up to that instinct of 68.68 and I'm in the trade and I want to know, well, should I exit the trade here, or what's going to keep me in the trade? What's going to make that gut instinct change into a momentum positive bullish pattern? Or am I going to feel a little bit of resentment and want to get out of the trade and take my profit? Or do I want to take the loss that I'm in because of that feeling that I'm getting? And I think breaking that price per action and watching the tape and watching the money flow going into the trade can help you keep you in the trade if you're at a bottom. Or it can give you that bullish gut instinct to stay in the trade. Or you can look at the news and say, wow, it's starting to pose a little negative here. I mean, the volume's starting to slow down. The money flows stop coming in. I'm seeing more action on the sales side. Showing a sign of weakness like we've seen right in here when we had these three black crows. And then she went ahead and she consolidated and pulled back to that support area a couple times, and it was time to maybe take the trade. But patterns like this, when do you decide to take the knife? Here's another good example. I mean, this was a bad day. I guarantee a lot of people tried to jump in that trade. So I'm gonna look for a reason why it started to reverse on this support level that I've drawn in here already, 56.02. I want to go back. I want to retest it, and I want to look at 56.02 and see what caused that to hold that support level right in here. And it's obvious that was a chart pattern, a place of consolidation, a place that did pull back once before on the body of that candle. It created a solid support level. So we had the ascending triangle, little breakout, little pullback to support off the body of that candle. So now I see why it pulled back to that one spot. So I'm constantly wanting to learn, why did it reverse? Why did it reverse here? Same reason, pattern of consolidation for a week. And it bounced off of that and made a pretty good nice little trade there to resistance levels. See, history repeats itself. You're always wanting to go back and look at where's places of consolidation where the bodies of them candles meet before. It could cause some kind of resistance level. If I wanted to get out of this trade and I got in down at the bottom, I want to look for an exit point. My exit point was this red line right here from this trade right in here, see? It didn't want to break that. And the same thing can happen again. This can go up here, and right now You got to look at okay, it broke a pattern. It broke a pattern right here. It broke out of resistance. Let me show you. Whoop. There's that nose again. Kind of broke out of a pattern of resistance right in here. So this thing could be bound to break this resistance that we need to break for that double top. And still, that's a pretty good little $6, $7 bounce. Okay, that's a nice little profit. If you can pull back to around 58 and get in the trade and see that retracement, hold this support line. I'm going to take that to the right. And it holds this support line down here, and you can get down in here at the bottom of this trade and retrace it back. That's about a $7 gain, and that might look pretty good on an option. And take your profit. That's going to be my exit, unless I think it can break up and go higher. So yeah, I think we're going to be bullish on it. I think it's going to retrace back up. You just got to kind of play it smart right now, and that hard resistance is going to be that 68 area. See you later, Richard. Please take a look at Apple. Yeah. Okay, next. CRSR. Okay, we got OSTK out of the way, and I want to do Tesla and plug. I'm in Tesla. Did I do the right thing? I'm down on it, $120. I'm going to clear this out. Start fresh. I know everybody wants to talk about Tesla. We did break out of almost broke out of that double top resistance at 50. I had 502 if I remember right in the room. I wanted to break 502 right here is where it is. Whoa. 501.80. We're going to adjust that. And then we're going to bring this right down here. Try to look for some places here. And then we've got one right in here. Now I'm in this trade. And I'm hoping for a bounce back up. We got a support level right here at 587. So let's look at the 20-day. If this thing takes it back up and goes past 501.80, and there's that 504.40 right there, that'll probably, if we can bust past 500 and get above it, break that 504.40, I think we can take it up and hit that 508.61 and start building momentum up above 500. But next week's going to be kind of like a week of consolidation for a lot of these auto EV stocks, and there will be some that will still break out. There will be some that will knife and pull back and take the bounce off the knives. So I'm in this one right now. Right now it's looking good for me. I think we're up $1. So I want to see it break a resistance level of right around the 493. Let's magnify this up a little bit here. Right there. That's going to be like the little pivot point in that channel. If I can get above 493.87, we'll start building momentum and break the next resistance right up in here, right around the $500 area. And I see something right in here too. So I don't want to leave this number out. Might see some resistance at 498.11 and pull back a little bit and then retrace back up. So I'm biased on this trade because I'm in it. And I'm just wanting to see it get back up to this area here, and I'll probably take my profit. If not, I'll run it on up. But if I start getting some good action and I'm up, $500 or $600 on this trade, I'm out. Tesla. It's a little risky because it can pull back to this lower area. I've got different scenarios on this trade right now. These little different support areas. And it can pull back to any one of these. And if it does get down to that 460 area, I'm gonna start loading up the boat on it too. It is in the S&P now, and it will break 500 and build foundation above 500, and that's going to be Tesla. So the next one is Plug, AMD, Facebook. So let's look at Plug. Plug is a EV play. Nice little breakout, I think. It's starting to build momentum. Got an ascending triangle right here. Let's go ahead. I got a low scenario support level that I wanted to get in this trade last week at 21.79. It wouldn't let me to do it. So I'm going to raise the bar up to right up in here, right around the 23 area. That's where I'm going to put my new alert, 23.14. I want to see it break resistance soon at 25.44. Then we got another one right here. Yeah. See, here's another nice little ascending triangle right here. Let's go ahead and clear this up so y'all can see what I'm looking at. Got an ascending triangle right here. This is on Plug. Let's see here. It's really nice. There's your ascending triangle. So it's getting ready to break out. Then we're going to have this double top up here. Right about resistance right at 25.44. So you got a scenario that we want to hold it right here, but I think it can pull back to a lower support level. And that's going to be this 23.14 area. Somewhere in there, right about 23 bucks. Okay? We can keep it in that channel with a strong buy down here at 21.82. Now I raised the scenario. I think I'm raising up the bar on Plug right now for two different support areas. One of them is going to be that 23 and then that 21.82. I want to keep a strong scenario alert set just in case I want to go long in the trade, and I want to bring that alert down here right around $20. So I'm going to set another alert down here for a strong buy, long. This is on Plug. Mark, ask, above. I'm going to type into myself why I want to get into the trade at that price. So I'm going to go long at 20 bucks and then maybe scalp it from here at 23.14 with another second support. If I do get in the trade here and it dips on down to 21.82, I'll cost average down and take it back up to resistance. But I want to set this down here just in case it does hit this number, and I'll really load up at $20. I want it to hold that $20. That's Plug. The next one is AMD. AMD building some higher lows here on a 20-day chart. Nice little ascending triangle again. We've had a double. We're going to probably get up here to a double top area for resistance at 82.62, but we need to break this hard for 86.56. Wonder how I got that 86.56. Let's go ahead and pull up the yearly chart and take a look at it. See if it tells me anything, if I can read it. It was an old ascending triangle right here where it broke out. So that's going to become, and we've repeatedly not broke that resistance level yet. So that's your hard resistance at 86.56. Remember that. If you don't break it, get out of the trade. We did call pullback on this stock. I talked about this before the election. I said this can't pull back to a support level of the double bottom down here. It did. So that scenario's up. Now it can probably pull back to a support level, and that's going to be that red line right here. And let's see what that number is. 81.68 is your first support. Your second one right here at 79.65. Anything below that's going to be a strong buy. And you can stop these videos at any time and write these numbers down. The resistance to break 86.56 is hard. If you can get past that and it starts to hold support, anything above that's a gift. But we are consolidating, and eventually it's going to break out past 100. But for right now, I'm not as bullish on AMD as I have been in the past. I feel like we're consolidating, so, rate that. That's AMD. Facebook. And we've got about 30 minutes left. Well, actually, we've gone overboard. No, we haven't. We've got 30 minutes. Facebook. In fact, I'm going to go get me a drink of water real fast. I'll be right back. Give me about enough time to get some water. Okay. All right, Sue. I hope that helped out a little bit. Bullish on plug and add BLNK to your watch list. Blink. Don't blink. Well, it looks kind of overplayed, don't it, that chart? You can't really read much on that chart, can you? So let's clear this up. Let's get rid of the... Oh, yeah. Kathy Woods, TDOC. I got it on my list here. I'll do it after Facebook. Now, see, it's a whole different picture right here. Now, look. You see this? Right now, it's holding support off that 200 SMA. We had that golden cross right here, and she had a nice little run. Kind of curling up a little bit, that 200, so it could be finding some support level right around this area. For right now, off that 200. We touched back once, touched back twice, so this could start to retrace back up. Find some resistance levels. Facebook at 279, maybe, right up in, around that area. 279. I'd like to see it hold that 50. If it doesn't, it has failed. It has failed many times. So let's try to find us a little equilibrium right down in here for low support. No lower than 261 if it does fail. So I'm definitely going to put me an alert down here just to have it just in case. I'm going to try to prepare myself, for a strong buy. So let's try to find an equilibrium in here in between this channel. Right there. And I'm going to look at something over here first. And I'm going to look at PFE next. PFE. So let's go ahead and put Facebook. I'm going to look for another little spot in here. I'm looking for channel. I'm looking for some kind of place, correlation to some kind of support levels. Right there, see, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good right in here. Let's go ahead and put that right there. 274.58. Now I've got to find me one more. This is a pretty big spread. So let's go to the 20-day and see if I missed anything on Facebook. Right down here. There you go. We got a resistance to break. And then we got another one right up in here. We'll put it right about there. Okay. So let's find a pivot point on this 20-day. I think it's right in here. You see where we kind of touched up there? We almost did. We touched down there. Then we kind of had a little flush right there. Then we had, that pull back right there. And then same thing's kind of found in an equilibrium. So we're going to put this on the 20-day. We're going to make that the pivot point. And I've been told that, I can find these pivot points are pretty good. A pivot point is a place where it decides either it wants to be bullish or bearish. It'll either go above the pivot point and create 3 resistance lines, as you see on this chart right here, or it will go below that pivot point area and find 3 support lines, where every support, you have your first support where, okay, should I jump in the trade here? You have your second support where the risk is a little bit less. Then you have your third one where a lot of people say, and you hear me say a lot, strong buy. So, and it's the same thing with resistance. If you're at that pivot point area where we are right now, we're a little bit under it. So we want to break and we want to build strength and we want to go above that pivot point. And then you have your resistance levels. So your gut's telling you, okay, man, I hit my first resistance. I'm going to start keeping the eye on the trade. There's going to be I have an exit point that I want to take this to. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's still healthy. The momentum, and then the volume starts to pick up more. People are starting to get into the trade, and then all of a sudden, you start hitting the third resistance line, and the volume on the tape starts to slow down. And your gut starts to tell you, okay, I broke a real hard resistance right here at the second one. And we popped on an engulfing candle right past it. Now, I'm in a place where I'm thinking, man, should I start taking my profit? I'm up $10 on a contract in 3 days on this trade. And I broke a hard resistance where I was telling myself, if I can't break past 279, I want to get out of the trade on Facebook. So I'm going to take this trade come Monday for a reversal play. If this stock pulls back to this lower support, which we had right here at 266, I'll be in the trade to take it up to resistance level. I'm going to tell myself, I got it down here on the double bottom, and I want to take it to the pivot point. I got in at the second support, and I want to take it to the pivot point. And if I can't break past that pivot point, I want to get out of the trade. So I've got my trade plan in play. Now, if I come in Monday and I get in the trade down here at 266, and some good news comes in, Zuckerberg, maybe helped an old lady cross the sidewalk, and it decides to bounce and bring it on up to these other resistance levels. So I've got 2 other resistance levels now that I can rely on, knowing that we held the pivot point. But getting in the trade under the pivot point, I'm going to call that a resistance. That's going to be my exit, unless that scenario comes in, and I start reading the tape, and the buys start coming in, the options calls start coming in. Like, you could see a couple real nice option call come in, and then I start getting that little impatience. And I've talked about that during the last meeting, that cycle, where I might want to start taking some profit, because here I am. I got in the trade way before everybody else did at the double bottom at 266, because I know in my rights it's going to go back up to that pivot point. So I've already run that scenario in 10 seconds in my mind once I looked at the chart, but I wanted to explain it to you in a slower, kind of repeated fashion to understand how I would take the trade Monday on Facebook. And and that's going to be one of my trades Monday. I'll be watching Facebook, number one. Be watching General Motors. Be, a few of them on here I'll be watching. But definitely Facebook will be the number one that we talked about with everybody in the room. So the next one, you understand my exit strategy and resistance levels on Facebook? The one that asked about it? Lovely. I love that name. You're going to make me blush. Okay, let's talk about TDOC. That's just lovely. TDOC. Here we are. Nice little rebound. Got a little cup going on here with a flag. We broke resistance level, and that was right here at 191.56. Okay? So that's what we're going to call support. The other support's going to be right in here at 190. Are you watching this, Amanda? You better be watching this. I'm looking at the 20-day, okay? 1 hour. I assume you are too. Then we're going to put another one right here. See where these candles started right in here? Now, if I wanted to fine tune this, I'd probably bring this, let's erase this. Remove drawing. Let's do this all over again. I feel like I've kind of got out of focus. Let's just start fresh. You know why I got out of focus? There's two things that I didn't do. Is I didn't look at the yearly chart. I wanted to check the SMAs. I wanted to check my 50 and my 200 and see how they react on either one of them two moving averages. I also failed to look at the news. I want to see what kind of news has been going up lately. I want to get kind of feel being the now. Somebody took a stake in the company, 5-6%. And I want to see why. Somebody wrote something here, why. I want to know why this stock's running like this, it says here. I want to read this. Shares are trading higher after general management holdings disclosed. Okay, it's just somebody put a stake in it, okay? That's all. That's the only reason. Somebody's interested in the company. So let's find a pivot point on the yearly, and that's going to be right in here. Where we had this pullback right here, all these pullbacks. That's a pivot point. So we're going to draw that line, and it's a very important line that we want to pay attention to. So we're going to call that red. I want to make sure that, I want to make sure why I got that line in here, and it's a pivot point. So I'm going to fatten it up a little bit. I know when I see a fat red line, there's a reason behind it, and that's the pivot point on the yearly chart. That's what I'm looking for. So I want to look for a support area below that pivot point that repeats itself. I'm going to look right down in this area right in here. okay? And we're just going to go ahead and put that right there. Bam, 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 bam. And then I didn't see this until now, bam. So we did pull back to that area. Now I want to try to find a resistance level. I got my first support, and I want to find a resistance level beyond the pivot point. I know there's one right here, okay? So I have to chalk that in, and I'm just going to run it up to the second one. It's right about in here. That runs in right into the 50 SMA. So that's a solid resistance. Now we've broke pivot point, first resistance, and we're into the third. Now I want to round it up to 3. 3 is where my gut's going to start saying, okay, I want to get out of the trade, or I want to look for another reason why I want to still execute the trade and stay in it. It has to have another catalyst. If it's not earnings or news or upcoming meeting somewhere or a big contract. So I'm going to look for another resistance level for number 3. And I found that right in here off this engulfing candle. And then we did touch back many a times and try to break it many a times and was unable to do that. So that's resistance number 3. Now I've got strong buy down here. I want it to hold this support level. So I don't want to see it go no lower than 171.91 to keep it. This is a pivot point in this channel. So it's strong support. I want to look for an equilibrium in here somewhere, and I'm seeing it right in here. And I'm looking for a place for a second support. And then I want to find one more, because I've got my 3 resistance levels, and then I want to look for that other one. I'm just going to swap her right in here. I like this area right in here. And after you do so many of these charts, you start seeing these patterns a lot faster. And always remember, if you do fall in learning anything from me at all, I work with the bodies of the candles. And if you want to fine tune like a fiddle, some people will play the wick. That's where you're tuning the fiddle, you know, and you got the top strings up here. Then down at the bottom, you got a place where they fine tune it. And that really fine tunes it, and you screw the bottom parts of the screw in. And that's where you fine tune the fiddle. And it's the same thing with a candlestick. You got the body of the candlestick, and you want to play with the wicks, you're tuning it in. But if you want to fine tune that candle in, you'll play off the body of the candle. And you'll look for repeated history with the body of the candle as you're drawing your extended trend lines. So we got resistance to break on TDOC from 205.97 to 215.87 long. Pullback support is going to be the pivot point on the yearly at 187. And then you got 195.66 for your first entry. And I think that can hold. TDOC! Does that make any sense to anybody when I talk that gibberish? Or is that a waste of my time? Because if it is a waste, I will try not to waste your time. It is a waste of your time? Amanda, spank. Pivot points, you got to look for an equilibrium. You got to look for a place, like I said, when I was looking for this pivot point on this chart, you got to look for a place where it created a resistance, and it tried to do that a couple of times, and then you got to look for a place if it did break resistance and it pulls back to that support area, which was resistance. You got to find it. It's like dividing a sandwich in half. It's like dividing a bag of marijuana in half. You want to try to find an equilibrium so you won't be ripping off the other person, and you want to try to cut it right down the middle. And that's the same way as when you're looking at a chart. You want to try to find that place right in the middle where you know it's had a resistance level and it's had a support level. You don't want to try to rip yourself off. So that's a, you know, correlation between a drug dealer and a person that can build a chart. So that's TDOC. Exactly. Two-fingered pinch. So anybody has Zoom? Zoom's a good one. Now everybody, we made some good money on Zoom last week. Why? Because of the lockdowns. So let's go ahead and erase all this here. We're bullish on Zoom. Okay. Let me clear the drawing set. Clear the drawing set. Bullish on Zoom. We got to find a resistance level. We found support level. That's definitely right down here at the 370 area. So now we're going to try to, and we talked about the gap. If you remember me in the room saying we're into the gap, we had to break this resistance level of 132.38. And then I said we had a gap. And that gap was right in here. Right about 150. Somewhere right in there. So that's our next resistance level. We're at 139 right now. Let me pull this yearly chart up here. This was a great play in the room, and anybody that knows how to trade would have took this trade off just the lockdown news and the increase in COVID and finding that double bottom right down here. You know, we're looking for a pivot point. The pivot point area in this chart for right now is going to be right down in this area, right down in here. Okay, right around 276. And also that kind of correlates with that 200 SMA right here. That's going to be the pivot point because we couldn't break it 3 times. And then finally the 4th time it did. So anything above that was a gift. Then we created a new channel. So you got to look at a different scenario. You got to look for a pivot point area in this channel. And that pivot point area was right here where this gap was. Then you had to fill that gap. So that's going to be our next resistance to break. We got to get up to 450.82. That's going to be a hard scenario. Now this sucker can knife back right back to this 432, 38 area, and that'll be a strong buy because we want to keep it in that gap now. That's how we want to look at this trade. Our scenario is we want to keep it in the gap and create a new pivot point. This will be a new pivot point channel. That's how I'm looking at it. You've got the double bottom completed. You're into a new channel. And this is going to be your pivot point. This is your channel of support. This is your channel of resistance. So the scenario that I look now, and I know this has got a wider spread. I know that it's a COVID play, and I know it's running on momentum right now on pure speculation. It's really not speculation because it's a lockdown. But we're playing a stock that's overbought into a new era. Being in the now. This thing could be $1,000 trade if things don't change. It could be $1,000. I mean, it could be also back down. I remember when I first started trading Zoom, we were worried about fraud with China, if you remember. And I was bearish on it, and I was wrong. We ran all the way up to 588. So we're in a pivot point channel on the yearly here, and we got to break this 450.82 resistance. And that could pull back and create a channel, and you could be scalping this trade between 432 and 450. And we're going to look for a pivot point in this channel, and we've got to find it right in here. Okay, and it's going to be right in here, right at this spot right there. Because we got the body of that candle right there, and then the body of the candle right in here. So that's going to be like a little pivot point in the pivot point. Then I'm going to go right down here. And then we've got a little resistance level to break right here. Okay, and then we got a support level right here. Okay, this is how we're going to take this trade. I'm fine-tuning it from the previous day right here. 437.09, your first support. Then you got these three big old gulfing candles right in here. So your next one's going to be right down here at 434.49. And then a strong buy at 432.38. It can knife down here and hit that 200 at 429.8 for a load up area. I mean, loading it up at 430. And then taking it back to resistance. Or holding this support area and staying into the new channel of the pivot. And that's going to be running it up here to 445 to a 450 double top break. And that's going to be zoom. For right now, if we can hold this 437.09, it'll be a nice little scalp play. And this can be a pretty good paying option if you can run it back up to 445. And you'll have some resistance right in here at the 442.53 because see how many times we tried to break it. That's it for Zoom. Let's do a couple more and then I'm going to call it quits. Remember the gut feeling and the emotions that go through a trade. Remember the watch list. You got the EV watch list. I'm going to put a little link down in the comments section. CIIC. Let's see if I missed anything. Apple. Did we do Apple? No, let's do Apple. Can't get them all. We'll look at Apple here. Apple, I think, is at a buying area. You know, I always talk about getting in the trade before everybody else does. You know what I see on this chart right here? I'm going to go ahead and erase all this mumble jumble so it can kind of make us a little more clear to us when we're looking at it. And then let's go ahead and let's first go up and look at the yearly. Let's see what I see a flag. I see a flag. So let's go ahead and draw the flag in. That's the first thing I want to draw. That's the first thing that's got my eye. We'll take it to the right. And then we'll take this little flag up here. See, we kind of broke out of that flag. We'll take that to the right. So we're out of the flag. This thing can pull back to the top of this flag here. And then bounce above that and keep momentum. We've had a hard time breaking this resistance level that I've talked about in the room, right around 120 a few times. So we're going to try to find a pretty well balanced place right here, right around the. I just want to go off the top to the body of this candle right here. So let's go ahead and change that. This is talking about Apple right now. We're looking for places and ideas of support and resistance level. I like to see it hold this here, but we could pull back down to a triple bottom on this bottom part of this flag right around 110 for a real strong buy. So what I want to do is I'm going to draw a trend line right here. Find a little equilibrium, and I'm going to put an alert for strong buy right around, let's keep it at 110. Put it right at 110. And that would probably be a place where I want to get into the trade. If it dipped on down there, then we got to find a little pivot point in between that channel for support, 115.57. And see it off this ascending triangle, and then we kind of have an equilibrium all the way up through there. Then a hard long sell at 124.59. So my next alert, I'm going to set right in here, right around the 116 area. I want to beat it before it gets to that area. So let me go to create alert. We'll go to ask, and we're going to go ahead and set that. So I got two places where I want to get into the trade. 116.35 or maybe 110 if it decides to go ahead and pull on back to that low scenario. And then I want to find a little pivot point in between these two areas. And I'm finding that right there where these candles are right in here. So this is how I look at it. Let's look at the 20-day, see if I missed anything on a 20-day. Kind of choppy, right? But what I like, and we do have a descending pattern. We do have some lower lows. So it could be going down to these lower support levels. Oh, here's another spot right here. We can't leave that out. We're going to color this in red. Okay. Kind of a choppy little chart. I thought we were going to build momentum and break this resistance level. But maybe for the rest of the year, we're just going to keep going sideways. And we're just going to have to scalp it up to resistance and call this 120.70 a real hard resistance area. And then buy maybe right around the 114 area for a strong buy for your first entry. But I'll keep an eye on the tape at 116.35 and see if I can scalp it for about $4 in this little channel. That's Apple. Keep an eye on it. It's on our top watch list. Okay, well, let's do the last one. CIIC. And then I'm going to kind of kick back and relax. So this one's had a pretty good little run here. Let's look at the yearly. Oh gosh, that's too scary. That's too scary. I don't like it. That's scary. Yeah, this is due for a big pullback. That's my opinion. You know, you seen how my face went? My gut? I'm doing it. Bleh. I mean, yeah, this is too ugly. I'm going to think 16.19 has to hold. And then if I was going to scalp it or trade it, I'd take it from that 16.19 to maybe 17 and get the hell out of Dodge. If it broke past that, it'd be a gift. And if it pulled back down here to right around the $13 area, it'd be a strong buy. $13.35. I know it sounds nuts, but there's no way I'd get in this trade unless I was in and out of it fast. CCI. Now, if it jumped down here and took the 50%, I mean, this is just, there's no way I'd take this trade. I'd have to sit here and watch it for a week or scalp it real fast. Well, 15 years experience talking right there. Yeah. You know, I have to sit and watch it. I'd have to sit It's just too scary. I can scalp it as a person that knows how to trade real fast. I can get in and out of this. That's how I'd trade it. Unless it pulled back to 1346, 1350. And then I would maybe consider taking it back to 16. That's how I would take the trade. But I might be looking, I'm just not, just scary. My opinion. Okay, well, that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Had fun. I'm going to be watching it. I want you to remind me too. Jim, CIIC. Told you so. You're welcome. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Please share. Hit that like button down below. I got one person that always gives me the thumbs down. I'd like to figure out how to find that out, who that is. I know it's always that one person. So I hope you're here to listen, and please hit that thumbs down if you don't like it. I get a lot out. I've watched almost every one I've done. I've watched over again because I like to see if I missed anything. I think it critiques me a little bit better as a trader. Always remember your emotions when you're in a trade. I caught myself Friday making trades that I probably should have not traded. I didn't take consideration about, that we're going to have a short week. I didn't take that in consideration. I didn't take in consideration that it was Friday and I'm buying trades like it was Monday. So, this is kind of how I felt like after getting in a few of them trades, desperation or maybe a little bit of fear or denial when I was getting in some good trades. So I might have to start hitting these panic buttons again and maybe reversing back up. But I didn't take that short trading week in consideration for next week when I got into a couple trades. So I think that was my big trading mistake of last week. It could have hurt my winning streak, but I won't know until Monday. Well, I'm glad that helped snap, crackle, and pop. So technicals, I think we're in a technical trading market, and the fundamentals are good. If you want to keep in a trade, you can study the fundamentals, and that'll keep you in a trade longer, like a swing trade. Technicals are like for people that want to get in at a good area or maybe try to find a good exit point. Get in scalping trades. If you're in a long swing, you want to learn your technicals to scalp on the way up or maybe short on the way down. You want to know an exit point. So you got to know your technicals. And there's different ways of finding them. There's so many different tools out there. And if you can just pick 5 tools that work best for you and employ them into a strategy, it'll become a better trader. I have a lot of different ways I can trade. I'm not just a one-track mind trader. I let the market dictate on how I trade. So I can trade on any day of the week, and I usually do my best when the market is red. Because, and you can see it in my pattern the way I trade, because I don't swing longer than 3 to 5 days, and I'm usually, if I'm not getting what I want out of a trade, I'm out of the trade. Cut my losses as fast as I can. So that's about it. That's a summary of this week's lesson. Watch lists are very important to keep. I demonstrated how to create a watch list. Now I'm kind of demonstrated on how to use a watch list. We found a good trade today on TAN, if you remember right. Seen that bottom play here on 10? It all the way pulled back all the way to that cup and handle around here, or even below that support level where we had the breakout. So this TANH could be another good way. You know, use your watch list to your best capabilities. If you need to thin it out, some of them just ain't got the volume. Thin them out, take them off your list. Take a look at them if they're not doing what you want to do. I always like to keep the volume leaders on there, and then I like to use the percentage winners and gainers, right? Play the momentum on the gainers, you know, when I pop in here and I'm looking, hey, way RRO, man, it's up, man. Or, hey, man, look at index. That's up 20%. Volume's looking good, man. So, yeah. Keep you a good watch list. And I think that'll be it. Always remember, Miss Vegas is one of the best tape readers that I know. You can follow her on Stock Twits. I always like to let people know about her little Stock Twits account. And she also posts a lot of alerts and talks about the tape a lot on Twitter. And this is our I Love Stocks Twitter page. We're up to 5,000, so we broke a landmark there, up to 5,500 followers now. She's posting alerts in here. She follows the tape real well, so when she posts an alert, a lot has to do with the tape reading that she does. Hit that. Tell her that I mentioned her today on the video. And give her a high five. Also, we do have a little place here. If you can go back, hit that icon, and you can watch some previous videos that we've done in the past. And there's a few lessons in here, and just want to learn more about that charting, you can do that there too. So always remember, I love stocks, and I want to thank everybody for showing up today, and hit that like button, ring that bell for future updates. If you have people in the family that want to learn how to draw and want to learn a style of trading, have them follow me on these 2-hour lessons that I give on the weekend. And I think that's about it. That's me and my ugly face, and I'm going to sign off out of here, and I'll see you all Monday. Always remember, I can trade the market any way. I'd rather get in at support and sell at resistance. I love stocks.